All right, we're gonna call that too.
Let's start.
Yeah. We're gonna call the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors of Celebration Community Development District. Today is the 27th and the time is 6 p.m. Present, we have Dave Hume,
Here.
Tom Tucson,
Here.
Cassandra Starks,
Here.
Jack McLaughlin.
Here.
Also present, we have District Council, Jan Carpenter. Mark was not going to be here today. He did let us know that. Stephen Bloom with Finance with Infomark, Russ, Field Manager, myself, Angel Montagna, District Manager, and we have audience members. We'll stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
All right.
Vice Chair, we do have one audience comment period on this agenda, which means they can talk about anything that they'd like, not just what's on the agenda, but anything else, because we don't have that second audience comment
Correct.
period.
Do you have approval for the meeting agenda?
Second.
Okay. Public comment period. Anyone? Anything?
Wait, do you want to do public comment after or before? Because there's only one public comment period.
We have to do it before.
We have to do it
Before.
before. But since we didn't include one at the end, you can talk about anything. Yeah, anything you'd like.
Please step up.
Yes, for 3 minutes.
Well, it's just only some.
Okay, 4.
3.75.
Paul Kinzer, 419 Celebration Avenue. I just preface these very brief comments by saying that I have not kept up with the detail of your activities. I don't know the scope or the depth of discussions that you've had. I only have access to a superficial amount of information that's come to me, etc.
Sure.
But if in fact it feels to a lot of people like, say, 27% increase in the budget is a lot, I might not be accurate with that number. If that really seems like a lot and you're getting a lot of feedback, which only you will know, positively or negatively, then if somebody said to me, yeah, we're going to raise it 27%, but here's what we're going to do with that 27%. We're going to do this and this and this and this. You might have already done that. I might have missed it, but I think that would go a long way to easing concerns about just the number of raising the budget. Anyway, I wish all of you good luck. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just real brief to that.
Mhm.
You know, every time anyone does a budget, nobody likes it, right? Because anyone does their taxes, nobody likes it, right? Everyone holds their breath. But it is a budget process. We start out with a very high amount and then we get real, right? We get real because technically nobody wants to pay the 50, 40, 30%. I don't want to pay it, right? With my home. So in essence, this is a whole process as we ask a lot of questions. We grill management on every number until we get to the area where we think, okay, we've gotten as low as we can go with making sure that we go ahead and maintain what we have. That's really the goal. So we'll see where this takes us tonight. I think, I don't know how many meetings we've had so far. I think 3.
This is our fourth one
It's our fourth. It's our fourth one. And of
regarding
course,
budget.
regarding the budget. So there's a lot of work that happens, not just at the meetings, but then every director goes home and does their homework and starts asking 1,000 questions and clarification. So just to give you a synopsis of it. So were we at 27%? At one point we were, but it wasn't fun, right? We're still working through every little thing. So,
And Paul, I will say it's significantly less than 27%, way less. And this is still going to be a preliminary budget that we pass tonight. And the only reason it's preliminary is because in August we'll make the final budget. We can't go up if we make decisions right now. We can only go down, just like regular government budget. So it may be a little high. It probably didn't seem that high to me when I looked at it tonight. And I think you'll find that the budget looks pretty darn good right now. So you want to get into this?
yes, yeah.
So-
I'm sorry.
Do you just want me to say where we are? Or do you want to
Yes,
do
but
that?
anybody else have anything else to ask? Okay. Please.
Okay, so what, Brenda, can you please put it on the screen? The one I
Yes.
sent you.
Did you want me to start on the revenue section or you want me to go down to the capital projects?
Nope, you can start, just put it and then, so where we are tonight is where we left June 13th. With the numbers in the 24 column. And really the only thing we discussed at that point was projects and reserves. How
Right.
many projects you wanted to put in, and how much you wanted in reserve. So what we ended on was exactly what is about to come up, which is putting 250,000 in your reserves.
Mhm.
And then you added 191,500 in projects. Okay.
Yeah.
If you look at that on the assessment per unit, that brings your assessments to a 10.8% increase. Okay, that's
Yeah.
where you are today. I know the biggest question that we were meeting for tonight was, okay, what if we put money into reserves? I think you've kind of passed the point of adding projects or anything like that. You're just kind of saying, do we want to contribute more to reserves and use that however you see fit later, which is either to keep your fund reserves or add additional projects.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
You probably can't see it back there. You're welcome to come closer up. I don't think we can,
I think we can zoom it
We
in
have a
more.
splitter on there?
If you expand it.
no, because it'll lose the size of this thing.
Russ, I don't
So
know.
think
you're
you'll
welcome to
better
guys
do.
come up.
Yeah, I
a
don't
bit
know how
closer.
you did it.
Here, I think. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, so let's just, for all intents and purposes, if we go and let's just say you want to add, we're going to add $100,000 to that 250 in reserves to make it 350. Okay, if we do that, then it makes your assessments go up to 13.9%. Okay, that's what it looks like with adding 100,000 more into reserves. And again, it's going to be based off of you. Let's say we add 400,000.
well, let's not get carried away.
I'm just showing you where.
I know.
Add 400 or make it 400?
Make it 400, and then that brings you to
Okay.
15.4%.
Okay.
If that's where you leave it. So, I mean, I don't know that you were interested in going much higher. Last year was, the 16% is what you've ended on your final. So I don't know kind of where everyone is in regards to the high water mark versus what you want to bring it to.
I think I would like to just add 100,000, make it 350,000 for reserves. And 13.9% would be a starting point as far as this preliminary budget. And then if we need to refine it, we can.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I don't think I would want to go over 100,000 because we did last year take out 180,000 from reserves for the aerators. The other thing is that all the projects I guess we have are not really projects. Because when people go ahead and talk about projects, they think we're going to put a merry-go-round on a field, or we're going to go ahead and get something. These are, there's painting involved for a lot of the areas, and celebration signs, and whatnot, just general maintenance. There is replacement of the benches around the lake, making sure that's consistent. We played with, we go PVC or teak. He settled on teak because it keeps the look. And then there's also additional aerators for a lot of the lakes, because I think a lot of people have complained about the condition. So we're trying to focus just on maintenance and not on grandiose projects, because we are where we are right now.
So I changed that, Brenda. If you go to 001, when Stephen and I talked about this, we changed that to, I know before it said capital projects. I changed it to maintenance projects. So really we can change that maintenance/repair projects or just maintenance projects. That's kind of where we landed on, unless the board wants that to be called something else.
Right.
I'm satisfied. There's no reason to do it anymore.
They are maintenance, the street lighting, the bollards, those are things that they are maintenance. But now, they've gotten to the point where they're, a large
Capital, yeah.
amount that need to be replaced, and the street light painting and stuff like that. So furniture, we've been doing kind of a one-off here and there, but this was to kind of collectively do one fell swoop at a time.
So just going through this, if you look quickly at a lot of the stuff that's adopted budget 2023,
Mhm.
where it talks about shade structure roofs, fencing, pavers. You know, some of those things were in 2023. It's the other things that we're looking at,
24.
right?
Yeah, the only thing we're talking about today are the 24 column, which is bollard repair, 24.5, the 100 for furniture, 40 in street light painting, 15 in fountain repairs, and then the utility vehicle of 12,000.
That's it.
And you had reserves at what, 100,000? What was it before you changed to 350?
250.
No, it's
250.
250. So that
We
brings it.
added 100.
Oh, okay,
But that still puts us below.
Way below what our
That-
right.
reserve level.
That's
should be.
right.
Right.
But leaving it just like you see it now with 350 in there, it puts your assessments at a 13.9% increase.
I prefer the 10 point, what was it, increase at 250? You know, that would be
10.8.
what I would keep it as. And no, that's it.
Seems safe though to put that extra 100 in
Well,
case
that's,
Yeah.
there's
that's what I'm
something that
saying.
comes up between
If
now.
we leave it at 100,000 in there now, you can make that decision 2 months from now and say, hey, we don't really need 100,000.
Remember, you can only come
You can
down
only
from
come
here.
down.
You
You can only
can't
come
go
down.
up. So at this point, if you were to leave here today with what 13.9, that's your worst case scenario is that's how much you're going to increase your budget is 13.9%.
Yeah, and so the funny thing is that we're putting in, let's say we say 350,
Mhm.
but we took out 180 last year. So really, we're just
We only
building
netted
back up.
170.
Right. So that's I don't know, it makes it a little tight. for me.
And what are we using the reserves for? So everybody will understand what the reserves are for.
Well, the reserves are for whatever you all determine. I mean, I think we had a conversation with some of those projects that we left on the table that, hey, like Dave said, he was like, well, some of this we can take out of reserves, right? That we don't even need to put into your general fund budget because you do have reserves and that's what you can use it for. So again, that would be what you all determine.
And I always tie the reserve line item to really the reserve study that did not too long ago. So
Mhm.
that lays down all of the CDD items that we have and all of our property and equipment, I guess. But in any case,
It's everything.
yeah,
Mhm.
all of that has a useful life. So you
It does.
just can't wear it down to zero and then think about
And
paying for a new one.
that is correct. And I know this was before I think you two came on, but I'm sure you're privy to the conversation. Jack, I know Cassandra, the reserve study, I mean,
I know.
you should be putting in a lot of money into your reserves. And I kind of said, well, obviously that's a lot, right?
Right.
So how about, and I just kind of based it off of a couple of different things of communities your size and that kind of stuff. Bare minimum, you should be putting about 500 in there.
Right.
But again, that is a large
That's
hit,
too large of a-
right? So we settled last year on, you know, the 350 or the 100 actually, because you used 350 for the stabilization.
Right.
So 100,000 and the goal was to eventually stop doing that. Let's rename it. That's just going to go into your reserves and you guys would consistently be putting into reserves, even though you can't really do that large number that they were recommending you do.
Well, and just, I think Russ mentioned at the last meeting, there are some boardwalks
Mhm.
that are just not gonna have to be placed, because we're talking about replacement, we're just talking about the top level,
Mhm.
talking about the entire structure, all the beams going in.
Underneath. Mhm.
This will cost millions.
Mhm.
So that's why we have to have enough, and we talk about alley resurfacing, we talk about a lot of different things that eventually we're starting to get that scheduled, because this stuff should happen automatically, shouldn't be like. I always feel like the board shouldn't be deciding over some of this maintenance stuff, because if it's on the schedule, it's coming up, you kind of know that this has to happen.
Mhm.
Otherwise, then you're, okay, we've got 5 villages of valleys to do, and we got 3 boardwalks.
And the prime
We're in trouble.
example is, by the way, which we haven't released this yet, but an alleyway is coming up. Artisan Park alleyway is going to be done, marking them. We've already done it, split it into 2, which is already in your allocations. And that's the next one on the list. And then it kind of essentially starts back over
starts
at
back
the
over.
top.
Right.
and starts going down again. But that 225 has been in there for a very long time for alleyways, and the one for Artisan Park, it's not far off from that. It's actually maybe a little bit cheaper than the 225.
Maybe by 5,000-6,000.
Yeah.
But it's covered.
So it's covered.
Do we have the schedule on some of these things posted? For the alleyways and stuff?
I would imagine it's probably not
We could-
posted, but we can put one.
We could, post what has been done and what years.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know there's.
Mark has a spreadsheet.
Right, Mark has a spreadsheet on the study on when we can estimate within a few
Mhm.
years.
Yep,
of each
Tells
of
you
the
when
villages.
each one's been done, when it's due again,
I
and we
just wanna
can,
know when to move my car.
okay, yeah.
So,
We can post that. I want Mark to look at it and make sure he's 100% with that particular schedule. And then, yeah, we can absolutely post that.
Well, and the thing is, there are some areas that might need to be done,
More often.
spot on. I had to think of somewhere,
Mhm.
there's some issues there. Artisan Park's never been done.
Correct. That's the last one to be done. And then essentially what happens is it starts over with North Village, I think.
Yes.
It starts over, but it,
North Village or Celebration. Village.
yeah,
We
but
got-
it
I got
tells
the
you the
schedule.
last time
Okay.
that each one was done and
you
when they
Celebration
should be
Village.
due again.
And I will just caution that it's an estimate. When you get a useful life of an alley, we'll just sort of 12 years.
12 to 15 maybe.
More than that. Yeah, so that's what I'm getting. at. You Yeah. might put that on there, plan for it, but the
But it-
thing is, if you get regular assessments, or I've done it through reserve study, but you don't have to, whatever kind of study you do. And they say, okay, well, this alley right here has 10 years of useful life yet, but you paved it 8 years ago, isn't that? No, it's not necessarily wrong, it's just it didn't wear like many others do.
That's
Each
right.
one's gonna be different.
Right, each one's.
And that's kind of what Mark said when someone goes, well, wait, we have $225,000 in here. Why didn't you do an alleyway? Well, it doesn't need to be done right now. We have another, year or two left. We can recheck it. It's doing fine or what have you. So, and again, he doesn't want to repave something that doesn't necessarily need it.
Don't fix the thing broken.
On that,
yeah, that's a big
chunk of change.
Correct.
Mm.
So that's kind of the premise behind that, but we can get a schedule from Mark, and once he confirms that, then yeah, we can get it posted, sent out to everyone and make sure. But I want to get him to sign off on that original thing and make sure nothing's changed before
Okay.
I get it out there.
Any other questions?
So is everyone comfortable with adding the 350?
I am.
I would make a motion then to adopt this budget with 100,000 additional on the reserve contribution.
As it states right now.
13.9% increase.
Do I have a second?
That's
Second.
adding 350. Okay,
Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Jack,
Aye.
Dave, second,
Yeah.
and then all four of you. Okay, is there anything, Stephen, that you need to add to any of that?
The only other thing I'll comment just in terms of reserves, we do the forecasting for 2023, we're very conservative. So if everything, doesn't hit that mark, then you'll have a little bit more extra, and the board can put that into reserves as well. Something else to keep an eye on as we get closer to the.
Yeah, so any excess revenue we can do that with that we get, we can kind of move into reserves, and that's another good way for you to be able to build it up.
All right.
So everybody's good with this? This is what the letters will go out and state. Also, I will pass out the letter. Greg has essentially already wrote it at the board's direction. There's just a couple of percentages and numbers I need to change in there, and then I'll send it out to all of you. It doesn't go out until mid-July, I think. I think so, because the assessment here or the budget hearing is August 23rd.
No, it's
It's earlier than that.
August 15.
Oh,
Yeah.
August 15th.
Yeah, it's earlier because then
Yeah.
after that approval, the county gets notified and they do other
Yeah.
stuff. So
And
So-
it's in the letter that it can go down. It doesn't. have
Yes.
to- It won't.
Yeah, you
it's
can only
not
go
set.
down.
No,
It can only go
the
down.
letter that,
Yeah.
that the residents know that.
And
It establishes the same budget process that we've been talking about for,
double check. when the letter
And-
comes down.
this will be posted,
I'll double check it.
and you'll be posting this on the
Right.
website then?
Just want to make sure that.
this budget. Yes,
Okay.
once we get through tonight, Stephen, and then we'll get it all kind of locked together. And then we'll post it on the website. This is your proposed budget And then the letters will go off based off of these numbers. They'll go out. And again, they don't go out until July. So we have time to revise it, send it to all of you. If you have any revisions or comments, send back. We'll get them all put together, and then that will go with the legal letter.
Okay.
That essentially says, here's what we're doing.
To take the weekend off looking at the spreadsheet. It's a lot of
It's a lot
information.
of,
Also, between now and the budget hearing, we'll have a more definite number about the painting. With the contractor that Dave gave us, we already have calls into them and everything to see if we can get kind of, not an exact number, but even just kind of a rough estimate.
That's for the power boxes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you, don't want to throw a monkey wrench in things, do you want to put some money into that?
We can talk about that at the next meeting, but
meeting.
essentially, we are already able to do some projects this year, like the street light painting.
Right.
We're already starting it. We have $20,000 budgeted. There may be
Right.
some extra money in some places that we can do some boxes, is essentially what he's saying.
No, that's fine.
So-
Because as you phase in, because some of these things are phased over 2 years.
Mhm.
So
Correct.
here's 1 year, and the second year, the
Yeah.
second half, maybe that could be less.
We're gonna do
second year.
112 polls in the next few weeks.
Where? What?
North
in-
Village.
Oh, in North Village?
Yeah,
Is
start-
Park
start
to the
coming in.
417 and all the tall poles and
And
it
then,
the pole or the light?
the
thing that holds
fixture.
the-
the
Yeah.
fixture.
and then next year, hopefully the pricing is somewhat the same. We'll do about the same amount of polls, because it's typically about 130
$39.
a poll to do.
That's what that's.
I know that's in the
You can get like
budget to
50
do, I just
pictures
don't
a
see
gallon.
it. I thought the poles are
$150
fine. You know, I don't see where we need to paint power boxes and the light fixture. That's me, because they're in the alley for one thing, the boxes, and then nobody notices the tops of the light poles.
I
You know,
do.
we can use the money. I know
I
some
do.
people
I
do,
do.
but not the majority, I think, really even
Um,
notice. And in North Village, trees are covering several, you know, quite a few of them. You don't even see it.
Well, we
But-
cut the trees down.
I mean,
before
I
we
was
paint
not-
the
So,
oh, no, let's-
There's,
we don't talk about
Just
trees.
Just
Separate.
before you adjourn, there is one more thing, Greg wanted to bring up again, you can talk about it now, you can talk about it in August.
Right.
Is on fund exhibit, can you click on that, Brenda? Last year, when they talked about taking money from that reserves assessment stabilization prior years, it now reflects 50. Greg wanted to do away with that, and that would just go into like unassigned reserves instead of having it labeled, because the board last year, again, may not be the same as this year as board, but
Right.
wanted to get away from using any sort of stabilization and take that money and not label it, but just have it in your unassigned.
I would agree with doing that. I would
Allocations.
move to do that because asset stabilization is really a misnomer. What it really is. It was an over collection of money, or actually an actual collection of money that should have been going into reserves rather than being used the way it was.
I thought they decided that last year.
We
They talked about.
We
that.
talked
We
about,
did.
we never actually.
Okay.
didn't do anything, and being that there are new board members, I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Greg wanted me to at least bring it up because
Okay.
that was discussed last year to do away with that line and just whatever's left in it, put it into,
So the money doesn't go away, we're just moving it to another.
Just.
Correct.
use the title.
it would be
That's fine.
unassigned instead of stabilization. I mean, you could throw it into wherever. You could throw it into whatever you wanted, if you want to do that, or it would be an unassigned, either way.
That's the default.
So that's essentially what, put that 50 back in, Brenda. Okay, so essentially that's just a topic of conversation, but we can finalize that in August, not a problem, but I just wanted
That
everybody
makes
to be
sense.
thinking about it, that was kind of that was the intent from last year, was to kind of get that to go away. Okay. Other than that, I don't have anything else unless you have anything else, or Stephen, you have anything else? I don't.
I do not.
Any comments, Dave?
No.
Sandra?
No.
Jack?
No.
It's the first.
I move to adjourn.
Zach?
Any other items we need on the agenda or?
I think that's it.
Wow.
Oh, let's
Okay.
Yeah, I was
work
gonna
fast.
say, it's
Hoping
almost
it would
like-
be quick.
I'm
but
saying
guess
that
what?
because I know you put out a note that said we were gonna discuss
Oh, no, that's next meeting.
Juniper
Juniper's next
landscaping?
meeting.
Yes,
No.
oh,
for,
What we just talked about.
yeah. I
What?
don't want you to make a promise you can't keep.
Well, we,
what?
you discussed it about the, pond. Got the algae, not the algae buildup, but the.
The hump of dirt?
Never
Yeah,
saw.
the land mass.
We're working through it.
And there's a proposal, but so
Yeah.
here's what I'm doing right now is giving.
Oh, you're talking about Marisol?
I think so.
It
Yeah,
is.
Marisol, okay.
That is
just wanted-
correct.
So what I'm gonna give you is a company that I've just used to do dredging and pond cleanup. And they're by far the best as far as doing this. It might not be so to but something. So I just want to give them a call.
Okay. So the point of that is we could have
Yes.
money now to go ahead and do it and then
Yeah, we need you. That area-
partial
that
money
area's-
later to do it too, so,
Yes, that area is rough.
okay. But that's what it was. And thank you for overcommit.
Call a question.
Yes,
There,
so,
we addressed it at the meeting.
so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I gave you that.
Yeah.
Are you gonna second that or?
Yes, sir.
Well, no, he didn't, yeah. Wait a minute, no, he said, wait a
You
minute.
second.
No, I didn't.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Thank you.
All right, and the time is 6:26. Thank you all.
Thanks,
That
everyone.
was the part we need to get.
I think Tom's gonna
I
take.
did
Rick's
tell her we
spot.
at least discuss it.
No, I wasn't gonna, I wasn't gonna.
Yeah, that's